talk. Welcome, one and all. We got a lot to cover here. Okay, so Graham Platner has dropped out. You know, are you kidding? And I saw his video. I'll play some of it on the morning show this morning. What a crying, cowardly wimp. They spent all this time building up this tough Marlboro man, and all this, you know, with his raspy voice because he's a real man. Like there's real men in the Democrat Socialist of America or even the Democrat Party, and he's basically crying in the video. Let me tell you something. Someone makes an allegation against me that's not true, like they made against Graham Platner. Do you think I run off crying? You know what? If somebody made an allegation like that was viewed as credible, right? Somebody makes a credible allegation against you that you rape them, and you say, I can't, I'm going to move on. I'm going to quit. It's not true, but I'm going to quit. I would stand up to that, and I would challenge that person to meet me face to face because it is BS. But Graham Platner didn't. Graham Platner didn't. I wonder why. We could speculate. So he's out. So what does this mean for your commie Democrat Socialist of America communism? The Democrat Socialist of America, they're a very small little cult group that's won some targeted primaries, and they got this idiot Bernie Sanders, this loser Mamdani who's never done anything in his life except have everything handed to him by his rich mommy and daddy with their participation trophies, who got in on a lark as the mayor of New York City. This idea that Democrat socialism is the wave of the future in this country is insane, okay? People in this country are not communist, and they can call it whatever they want. Democratic socialism is communism. But, Graham Platner, if someone made allegations against you that were viewed as credible, right? They give interviews, they show text messages, they got all this stuff, and they're doing interviews on CNN accusing you of raping them. Would you just cry like a little girl and run away? There's no way that I would let someone say such terrible things about me if they weren't true and allow that to stand. I'd be out there challenging that person to bring some receipts. But Graham Platner didn't do it. Nope. And he'll fade away. We'll hear about him from time to time here and there, but he'll go back to being a loser living off of mommy. That's right. And we'll find out did he really get that tattoo covered up? Because we really don't know. No confirmation of that. If you're new to the channel here, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. On my next stream, I'll be live in the studio taking your live calls. Now, I want to talk about the low-life scumbuckets in the fake news White House press corps and what they did yesterday. The media are sick, twisted, psychotic, Trump derangement syndrome suffering, anti-American traitors, okay? And the media dropped a story that you and I should not even know about. It should have been considered classified top secret. When you're in the media, and the media actually, the White House press corps, I think, broke long-standing protocol. They released classified information that put the President of the United States' life at risk yesterday. And then on the way back home, their Trump derangement syndrome suffering blocked their thought process when they dropped this classified intel. And then they realized on the way back home, wait a minute, what did we do? We endangered our own life. So they let it be known that the president, who was in Turkey yesterday, he's back in the United States now. He landed in D.C. at 1:30 a.m. this morning. But the press let it be known that he was not taking the new Air Force One from Turkey, that he was flying out of Turkey on the old Air Force One. And what the president did is he flew the old Air Force One from Turkey to a U.S. air base in the UK, where the new Air Force One had flown ahead and was waiting, and he took the new Air Force One from the UK on the final leg back to D.C. Okay? So why did the media run with that story? Because what they've done, and they were talking about it all day yesterday, what they've done is we know why they did it. They hate Trump, okay? They hate Trump, and they hate that plane, even though they get to ride on it. They're putting thoughts out there that the new Air Force One isn't up to the task, that that the president's under threat during this war with Iran. He was in the zone, right? He's in the region. Turkey is in the region, and he's over there in that area. And they put the thought out there that the new Air Force One isn't up to stopping an attack of whatever kind. What that is, we don't know. I mean, rockets, missile, who knows? But they have the press have put out there that the new Air Force One is not able to withstand a terrorist attack from Iran. Why would they do something so idiotic? Well, because they hate Trump, and they're playing, and they always want to put anything out there that they can chalk up to some failure of President Trump. So they want his choice to take this plane as a gift from Qatar to the United States Air Force was a mistake, and it's not up to the task, and the other one's better, and it's not safe, and this one can't do this one can't do that. And what the press did was put in jeopardy the life of the President of the United States and everyone else who flies on the new Air Force One, not just now, but in the future. And that includes them. President Trump did his press conference on the new Air Force One yesterday, and one of them said, one of the members of the press said, they asked us to put our shades down. Why? And he's like, because this is a dangerous flight, and the press are just sick and twisted. Why would they? That is one of the most irresponsible things, and that's saying a lot because the press is pretty irresponsible. That is one of the most irresponsible things I have ever seen the media do. You guys agree with that? It's completely insane. Now, you are not going to want to miss my show this morning because I have a lot to cover. There's something big out of Iran that I'm going to leave. I'm not going to tell you what it is now, but I'm going to open with it on the morning show this morning, so do not miss it. And it's something that no one else has covered, and I'm going to open with that on the program this morning on the next stream in the studio, taking your live calls. So make sure you're subscribed, you got that notification bell checked, and please like the video, guys. Liking the video gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found my channel. So please subscribe and like the video. There's something major with Iran that I'm going to open with. You will not want to miss it. I'll also cover a lot of other things that are going on in the news too, because there is a lot happening that I'm going to cover. Today's an extremely busy news day. Yes, good MAGA morning, everyone. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh boy, that coffee is so hot. Too hot, boiling hot. And it's been cooling off for almost 10 minutes. Yeah. Huge fan of Toronto, okay. Don't get the relevance to that. Oh, huge fan from Toronto. I'm sorry, I thought I said of Toronto. Well, welcome Toronto. Welcome Toronto. My mother-in-law's from Canada. That's right. And my wife's cousins live in Toronto, but I've never been. But maybe one day. Welcome, 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 everyone. Yeah, what the press did with that yesterday was just irresponsible. There's some things that you just don't report. I saw somebody said freedom of the press. You have the freedom to do a lot of things. You have the freedom to say a lot of things. It doesn't mean you should do it. Just because you can or have the freedom to do something is not a reason to do it. And that's so typical of the liberals. I mean, that's why they're so inappropriate, right? Liberals are just inappropriate people. Hey, San Diego, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But the president's back. 1:30 in the morning he landed, and he's got a full day today. That President Trump is not a mortal man. He is a superhuman. I don't know how he does it. I mean, I can't hardly keep up with him, right? Can you keep up with him? I could not keep up with him. I saw, I think it was Doug Burgum. Was it Doug Burgum? One of the candidates said they'll get calls from him at 2 o'clock in the morning. Cabinet member, can you imagine? And his cabinet, these are top people, you know, like Burgum's a billionaire too, you know. Getting calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah. Well, that's how the liberals are, right? They're just inappropriate. They don't have the understanding of boundaries and responsibility and common decency, right? If they had all those qualities, integrity, they would not be liberals. They'd be conservative. They'd be MAGA. But they don't have any common sense. But Graham Platner, I think he looked like a wimp. Don't you think he looked like a wimp? The way he bailed out? I mean, think about it. If someone made allegations that you raped them like that, and they were being treated like a credible person, they're on CNN, they're in Politico, would you just say, oh, that's not true, and I'm dropping out of the race? Would you let that stand? If it wasn't true? No freaking way. No freaking way would I let that stand if it wasn't true. I'd be right in there. I'd be right out there confronting it. No way. Western Maryland, welcome. Welcome. But you know, that's how the left operate, right? That's how the left operate. They don't have real men in the Democrat Party. You know, the Democrat Socialist of America, these are not real men. You know, and Graham Platner was a creation. They cast this guy. It's like, you know, any of you guys watch Star Trek The Next Generation, right? Michael Dorn, who played Worf on Star Trek The Next Generation, is not a Klingon. They put him in makeup, they put him in a costume and all this stuff all over his face. That's what they do with Graham Platner. Graham Platner is not a tough American man. They cast him in that role, but when you see when you see what's really in there, he's a girly man, metrosexual. You know, they try to make him look like the Marlboro Man or something, but he's one of these metrosexual wimps. You know, you ever hear actors talk? They sound so. You know, I remember when oh boy, what's the guy's name from that died from Fast and the Furious? Paul, what was his name? You know what I'm talking about? What's his name? The guy from Fast and the Furious. I can't remember his full name. Paul Walker, yes. When Paul Walker died, I was watching some coverage. It was Vin Diesel talking to fans somewhere, and he was talking to this group of fans. It was like the day after or so, soon after Paul Walker was killed. And what he was saying to the crowd was like right out of the script of the first Fast and the Furious movie. He didn't have his own words, Vin Diesel. And there was somebody in there from Toronto. There used to be this television show. I used to watch this show. I can't remember what it was called. Maybe you'll know if you're a Canadian. There was a police show that was on television years ago on CBS, but it was a Canadian show. I used to watch it. It was about a Canadian SWAT team. And it was it had on the actress that was one of the Power Rangers, and the star was in Galaxy Quest. And any time there was a police call that involved a gun, they would call in the SWAT team. Can you imagine they called a SWAT team every time there was a gun in the United States? I can't remember the name of the show. I watched it. It was good. Any of you Canadians familiar with that show? They were a Canadian SWAT team. If police went to a scene and a gun was involved, they'd call the SWAT team in anytime there was a gun involved. Pretty pathetic. But anyway, I was watching an interview with one of the actors about the show, and what he said in the interview, because I'd seen every episode of the show, was right out of the script from an episode or two that his character said. He didn't have his own words, and that's how Graham Platner is. He's an actor, and what we saw for the first time when he's crying like a girl, it's not true, but I'm going to drop out. We made the decision to drop out. It's not true. You got to see the real Graham Platner, as opposed to the script that we're going to fight the oligarchy with that deep voice. We're going to the oligarchy, Medicare for all, Medicaid for all, the billionaire class. And then when he's talking on his own, he sounds like a girl. Right? Hurt my throat there trying to talk like Graham Platner in the fake Graham Platner voice. All right, that raspy voice, it's all gone. You got to see the real Graham Platner. I didn't do it, but I'm dropping out. Ooh. What happened to that raspy? Fight the oligarchy and the billionaire class. It's called acting. So maybe you'll have a future in acting. But that's what they do. They cast people. He's really about as manly as Tallarico in Texas, when you get to see what the real Graham Platner's like. Yeah, see, nobody remembers that show. Any Canadians, you know that show I'm talking about? The star of the show that was the head of the SWAT team was in Galaxy Quest. One of the members of the SWAT team was a girl who was one of the Power Rangers. Can't remember the name of the show. Hey, it's early. I'm behind on my coffee. But Graham Platner, what a wimp. What a wimp. There's no way. Flashpoint, thank you very much. Flashpoint, that's the name of the show. That's a good, I like Flashpoint. Flashpoint's a good show. That's correct. Flashpoint, thank you very much. Did you know that, Grammy Dory, or did you look it up? And I'm watching this one guy in Flashpoint. He's doing this interview, and his answers to the questions are lines from his characters in episodes of Flashpoint. It was hilarious. Because actors are mindless. I mean, look at Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron was viewed as this classy movie star, great actress, Oscar winner. She goes on the Call Me Daddy podcast, and she's talking like she really is, which is a sleazy sex pervert, and that's what so that's what happened with Graham Platner. Actors are empty vessels, and Graham Platner's an actor who's an empty vessel. That's correct. That's right. Yes, wisdom at 5:24 in the morning in front of Starbucks. Yeah, I'll be on the air soon. I'm not too far. Oh, man. Yeah, one of the reasons I live stream out here is because I'm in the studio so much that I need to get some fresh air before the sun comes out. Because in the middle of the day, it's so damn hot in Florida this time of year, So now it's only like 80-something degrees, so I can come out and enjoy the outside a little bit. But I'm going to lead. My lead story today is something about Iran that President Trump is doing that no one's talked about, that I'm going to cover today, so don't miss that. I am going to play some of Graham Platner's crying. Yeah, the Spotlight Cop, yeah, I mean, what time does he come by? Because I don't, maybe this is his day off. Because I don't see him on his regular patrol. Now, I'm not a cop, but doing your patrol at the very same time every day, when you're in these dark areas, is that really smart? Shouldn't you mix it up a little bit? But he's been coming by at the same time every day. It seems like, the criminals know what time he what time he comes down. You know, like we in this county, we have an ordinance against panhandling. So the homeless can't be in the intersections panhandling. Well, they know what day the cops are on that work that enforce it, and they know what days the cops are on that don't enforce it. So they panhandle on the days the cops are working that don't enforce it. If you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe and click that notification bell. In just a few minutes, I'll be back in the studio live right here on YouTube, taking your calls. Taking your calls live and unscreened and unvetted. I said, Chad, I said credible accusations. What hearsay? Yes. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And those of you that are new to my channel, thanks for joining. You'll enjoy the community, I promise you. And everyone's welcome. You know, we don't discriminate. You know, all viewpoints are welcome. And if you watch me long enough, you'll be red-pilled. Yep, you'll be red-pilled. Just watch me long enough, even if you don't want to, even if you resist, you'll be red-pilled. If you watch me long enough, because I make a lot of sense. Sure, you can call from Australia. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just recorded a commercial this morning that's going to play on the radio in Australia. This morning I recorded it, actually. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, so that's that. And the media, they break that story. They break that story about Air Force One, and then the pilot, the captain of Air Force One, told the press to put their shades down, and they got nervous. It's funny. I'm going to play the clip. And so one of the reporters said, "Oh, they told us to put our shades down." It's like, well, you're on a dangerous plane that's a target of Iran, and President Trump, he said, well, they didn't tell me to put my shades down. So I think what happened is, I think the captain of Air Force One, I don't think there was a threat. I think they just told the press to put their shades down to scare him, because they reported that that story they shouldn't have reported about President Trump taking the old instead of the new Air Force One out of Turkey. I think they were just being trolled and punked by the captain of Air Force One. It was kind of funny, actually, because you could tell they were scared. Well, they shouldn't have reported that. You know, there's lots of things that you should not say or do, right? And they didn't realize what they had done exactly. Well, they know now. They know now. They hate that new Air Force One. What a beautiful gift. They act like gifts from other countries are a bad thing. You know, France gave us the Statue of Liberty, right? I never hear anybody say, oh, France, they gave us that Statue of Liberty. They've got control over us. Yeah, it's out of respect. Well, they didn't, Travis, they didn't, the reporters, their Trump derangement syndrome is so deep in their brains, they lose common sense and judgment, and they didn't realize that they fly on that plane that they're putting in danger until they had to put the shades down, and then they're like, oh, geez, what did we do, right? Now, those of you that are Patreon supporters, I did a live stream this morning before this one for Patreon supporters. Please take a listen to that live stream. Take a look at it, because I talked about something I don't want to share here, and I don't think it's appropriate to share here. So check that out. And if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description, and you get access to a lot of exclusive things, including my exclusive Patreon live streams. And they're very much like here on YouTube. There's a live chat and everything. It's a troll-free zone. It's a great community, and I talk about a lot of things. I live stream there every day, and I talk about a lot of things that I cannot talk about here or anywhere else. Well, listen, guys, I got to run and get back to the studio. The Patreon link's in the description.